So Richard, it sounds like we're all set. No more questions about the paperwork or what kind of the process we have here or confidentiality. I did have another question for you before we formally started, if that's okay. And that is, remember when you were on the phone and made the appointment, you were asked to observe if you noticed any positive changes between the time you made the appointment and the time you came in. In the area of your concerns, did you see any, what we call pre-treatment change, that changed in a positive direction prior to coming in here today?
Actually, no, everything's pretty much the same.
Okay. Now that we are in here today, I was wondering if you could share with me what your best hope would be for today. What would be some signs that things are beginning to get a little better for you?
Well, I'm actually really looking for balance in my life. I'm divorced, I'm the father of two, I'm a student, and I'm working full time, so trying to find another way to put a dating relationship into the mix. Trying to have some balance with dating.
Okay, so you're already juggling an impressive amount of activities and priorities. Children, work, school. I was wondering if you could tell me what some of the qualities or skills, what are some of the things you're already doing to help you achieve the successful balance you have now? How does that, can you describe how that balance works now? What are you doing to make that work?
Well, for the things that are already in place, work is essential. School, I'm passionate about the kids, and I just love spending time with them. But there's a lot of things that I don't do. I don't do a lot of things just for myself. Most of my time is spent with my girls or at school or with work.
Okay, so to make the balance you have now be reasonably successful, if that's accurate to say, use time management skills, it sounds like, if that's accurate. Some discipline and some self-sacrifice, and you prioritize and make sure that you spend the time in the areas that you are of value to you. Would that be an accurate summary?
Yeah.
Have you been able to do that any time in the past with a dating relationship, to find that balance with a dating relationship added?
Actually, no. I meet people all the time. As a matter of fact, I met someone on my way here, and she actually asked if we could meet later for what she called a cookie. And she's Jamaican. She had this cute little Jamaican accent, and I immediately felt overwhelmed. And I remembered I didn't have a sitter and felt relieved.
Okay, so you had a situation where the possibility of a dating relationship came up, and you had sounds like some strong unpleasant feelings about feeling overwhelmed, perhaps in lieu of that balance that you're trying to create. I'm wondering, looking at times where the balance has been working for you, if there's anything that you've added recently that's now a part of your balance but wasn't there a little while back, where you had previous balance of all the important things you were keeping going. Anything that you've added recently that's now part of the balance that's working?
Well, yeah, I just recently entered a graduate program, and I've been able to add that into our already busy lives, but that's a little different. I can kind of manipulate my schedule so that I'm not gone from the house too many nights a week, or I spend a lot of time trying to make sure that it doesn't affect my schedule with the girls.
Okay, so to me, that's still impressive, even though there's some differences that you identified that you had. Would it be accurate to say a busy but successful balance previously for something you decided you wanted, and that is to work toward the graduate degree that you've presently pursuing, you were able to make the new balance transition to the new balance? What are some things you did that helped the balance remain acceptable to you while working in something new that's a fairly big commitment, something new that's important? What are some skills that you used and other some that you did to make the new balance work?
Well, I think that, for that, mostly it's just the time management. I was able to control my schedule just a little bit more. It seems like with the dating relationship, I don't have that control because it's another person's schedule that's also involved.
Certainly with you being able to pick your classes to some degree, I mean, you don't have control over, perhaps, I'm guessing, when they're offered, unless it's an independent study or unless you know something that most students don't. I'm guessing that you can't control when the projects are due or how big they are. So within, but to some degree, there's some control you have. And then the other piece is that you don't have control over. You make work through your time management skills. So therefore, it's a combination of elements you can control, and then managing those that are not quite in your control. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask something now that's referred to as a miracle question. And that's common in folks who do solution-focused work. And it asks you to envision a future using your imagination a bit. Would you mind if I ask you that?
Not at all.
Okay. Let's pretend that after you leave here and you go through the rest of your day successfully and you go to sleep tonight, have a restful night, and you wake up in the morning and lo and behold, the problem's gone. The solution you wish for is actually in place, and I'm gonna ask you to pretend as if there was a camera following you before this wasn't working. A camera only that you can see, and now tomorrow morning there's a camera that follows you for a while, and picture this new balance that is exactly what you want. If you look, we were able to bring in and look at the two tapes. What we would see, what would jump out at us differently in the second tape that we wouldn't see in the first. Tell me about this new balance. Can you describe it?
Well, I think that picturing it, I would be successful in a sexual relationship, and I would still have all the other elements of my life working just fine too. And that's part of the problem. I can picture the end result. I would like the successful relationship, but it's just getting there that I have a hard time with.
What I hear you saying now is that there's a hope that there is a future where this established relationship is working. We'll look at successfully co-creating a solution where you want to get to the point that primarily stages works out well. So when somebody can, with a cute accent, ask for a cookie, perhaps it can get to that last stage. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you to use numbers for a second on a scale. And if 10 would be that image you just described, where it's already working, where things are in balance and the relationship's established, and 1 would be in place where it's abysmal and there's nothing working at all, where would you rate yourself in terms of adding that dating piece now in between 1 and 10?
Oh, definitely a 1.
Could you describe why, where you are now, you'd see as a 1?
Well, because I don't see any signs of success. I mean, I don't think I'm dating successfully at all.
So you're at a 1 now. There's plenty of room to grow. What, looking at the next step, not necessarily biting off the next big piece, but we still talk about small changes leading to bigger changes down the road. What would a 2 look like? If you could picture yourself successfully looking at a 2, what's involved there? Could you describe a 2 for me?
I think that a 2 would be just having someone that I could go out with every now and again. Someone that I could talk to a couple times a week, and maybe once a week or every other week, just go out very casually.
So it sounds like a key point for you to go from 1 to 2 would be the pacing of new relationships so that it wouldn't be too demanding on your already busy schedule. A successful balance you already have, so the pacing of the relationship would be acceptable to you. Do you have any non-dating relationships that are so important to you where the pacing is acceptable? Where have that kind of pacing that fits in with your balance?
Yeah, I mean, I have friendships. I have friends that are platonic, people, even some that I've dated in the past, and now we're just friends. So yeah, I mean, we do lunch maybe once or twice a month, and we talk on the phone maybe once or twice a week.
So having that pacing and other relationships outside of family, work, or school you have success with that already. What would it take for a dating relationship to have that pacing that you successfully have with the other relationships? What might be involved there? How might that look?
Well, I think I need to be dating someone who's busy also, someone who also has a full life.
And if that person had a full life, how would that be helpful to you in achieving the pacing you would like, that is acceptable but not overwhelming?
Well, I think we would be able to balance our schedules, so I wouldn't have to feel guilty or feel the pressure of needing to be available so much.
Okay, so if I could kind of summarize where we are now and see if you're in agreement with what I'm seeing so far, maybe we can look at what